Hello there, I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, it doesn't need to be May for us to celebrate our mums, or music for that matter. Let's do a little bit of both this week. This is Our Vancouver. Coming up, how Ophelia inspired her son's love of fine Mexican food and the name of his new restaurant. And stay with us for the collaboration that led to a new animated music video. But first, how a young filmmaker uncovered her mother's history as a child soldier. An artist and filmmaker who grew up in Burnaby has turned the lens on her family's story. Adhel Arop was born in the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya, and she immigrated to Canada when she was just 4 years old. And in her documentary, Who Am I?, she shares how she found out her mother was a child soldier in Sudan. Here, Adhel's Aunt Helena described the violence of their childhood.
When I was 4 years old, coming with my brother-in-law, he was carrying me, and then we reached a small town where it just happened that the soldiers killed a lot of people, so there were still bodies in that area, and they were telling us, when you go, make sure you follow the footprint of other person. If you step somewhere else, you might step in the mine. And I was not scared, but I thought, like, that's weird, right? Why do I have to step in somebody's footprints?
That is from the documentary Who Am I? By Vancouver filmmaker Adhel Arop. The film premiered last year. It's already won some awards, and it's going to be screened again August 27th at Work Lab on Venables. And Adhel Arop is with us now. Hello there.
Hi, Gloria.
Now, why was it important to you, Adhel, to tell this story?
The story was important to me because I wanted people to have an understanding of where I come from, and to have an idea of the stories that you carry with you when you leave a country and you become displaced. I grew up pretty much being called a refugee and an immigrant, and I always felt bad about where I came from. And through creating this story and through understanding my mom's past, I was able to have a solid sense of self. And knowing my history and knowing where I came from really helped me feel stable in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. It's sort of your own exploration of identity through your family's history as well. And I know you've had a chance, Adhel, to work with children. So how do you approach these issues of identity when you're doing that?
We run workshops. So I bring in a lot of my artist friends, and we run our own kind of workshops that helps the kids understand that identity isn't who you come from. It's not, I am a student, I am an artist, I am this. It's just who is it at the end of the day that you want the world to know that you are. And it can be endless. And I always tell the children that there are many paths that you're going to take in this world. And they're not always going to be linear, and they're not always going to match your friends. But knowing that you can do it and having a sense of self and understanding that from you to your goal, it's going to be difficult, but at least you're doing what you want.
Oh, it's a great message. And we're living in interesting times, aren't we? Potentially revolutionary times with the Black Lives Matter movement. How have you been involved here locally?
I was at a lot of these rallies performing. So I'm a slam poet. I used to do professionally in high school, and I've been doing photography. And so I would go to these rallies and just take pictures because I wanted to provide another lens to view what this movement was about. And so a lot of my images were going all over the internet because I was taking images of Black men in tears, holding each other and hugging each other at a rally. And so I wanted people to understand that there is a deeper message, and that rally isn't about anger, but it was about understanding. I wanted people to be educated on the experiences that people from the diaspora face on a day-to-day basis. And so I just wanted to provide my voice and my eyes so that people could have another lens to see this movement through.
And congratulations on maintaining your focus there when you had a visitor in there waving at you just now. You know, when we're talking about Black Lives Matter and that moment when you're on the stage, I just want to show everyone a little bit of what you experienced when you performed along with some Indigenous artists.
My heart once skipped a beat when I looked across the crowd and I saw faces. Some resembled mine, others far beyond me. At which point will I exist? At which point will my suffering mean something to someone? I can't anymore. For my breath forgets to beat. I can't even remember. At which point did I start existing and my pain leaving me? Why is suffering the lullaby that puts me to sleep every night? Oh, hey, yo.
Wow, there's a lot of emotion in those rallies. What was going through your mind?
My mind, that's a really good question. In that moment, I felt unity. I felt what it was like to have my experience be mirrored. And so I think understanding that Black Lives Matter is in the same vein Indigenous lives matter, because if you hold a mirror to our experiences, there's a lot of parallels that coincide. If you look back at history, a lot of the Indigenous experience is mirroring the Black experience. And so when I was up there on the stage singing the Women's Warrior song and reciting my poetry, it made me realize that I am a Black woman singing these songs, and it sounds like my own story. And so I wanted to show the universality of being oppressed. And it's not coming from a place of anger. It's more coming from a place of, if you understand our experience, if you understand the things that we have faced or the things that we go through, maybe you understand why people are out there protesting and why people are out there fighting for freedom or understanding or emancipation. And so through that Black Lives Matter, I dug down into history, I started reading, and I wanted to educate myself so that next time, if somebody were to ask me, what do I need to learn, or why is this movement continuing? I'll say, if you look back at history, it's a repetition, and hopefully when the cycle is stopped, then the rallies will stop. So that's kind of what my message was.
Well, and it is an opportunity for education for all of us, for sure. I'm just fascinated by your creativity. You're a multidisciplinary artist. You've got a background in musical theater, the slam poetry we just saw, spoken word photography, filmmaking. Where would you like all of this to lead?
I would like this to lead into my filmmaking skills. I think that as a filmmaker, having many streams of expression will help you create wonderful pieces and layered pieces. And so I want to continue my journey of directing and producing my own works. And so at the moment, I have a small little production company, and we are doing a crowdfunding and hoping to be able to continue to use these platforms to tell more stories about the African diaspora and the POC BIPOC individuals. And so my work is going to be moving forward, hopefully to start creating more documentaries and films. But you'll have to keep an eye out. So if you look, you'll have to keep an eye out, because there is going to be things coming up, and it's going to be a surprise. I can't be revealing everything.
Okay. You keep us in suspense for now. All the best to you, and good luck with the screening again on the 27th there at Work Labs. Thank you so much for your time.
Gloria,
Yes.
Before we cut off, I just wanted to mention one last thing.
Please do.
So I am currently working with a women's group called Women for Women South Sudan to help support them in uplifting women during COVID-19. And so at the moment, we are hoping to do a phase 1 project to support the women of South Sudan. We were meeting over COVID-19 over Skype, and we were asking the women the things that they were needing in order to get their supplies that they need. And so if you go on the website and see the Adhel Productions, there'll be going to be more information provided. But I just wanted you to know that I hope that with the work that I'm doing is going to also uplift and support the women of South Sudan.
To your website, Adhel Productions. You've got a very generous spirit, Adhel. So nice to talk to you today.
Thank you for having me, Gloria, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Hi, I'm I'm Cassie Carbonin, and you're watching Our Vancouver.
Well, it's time for one of our favorite features of the program. This is when we get to showcase some of the photographs that you have sent in. George Hamilton snapped this shot of a heron and a gunnelfish. Nice catch. Ashley Barker spied these curious goslings checking out the kayaks on White Pine Beach. Very sweet, thank you. And finally, it looks a little bit like Christmas in August on Harrison Lake, thanks to the campground lights at 20 Mile Bay. Thanks so much to Christine McAvoy for that beautiful photograph. And please do send us more. It's easy. Just email them to us, bcphotos@cbc.ca, bcphotos@cbc.ca. Coming up, why returning to her parents in Lac Walams near Prince Rupert is so important for a Vancouver woman and her son. Hi, welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, thousands of urban Indigenous people live in Vancouver, often far away from their home communities. But home doesn't leave them. Recently, a Vancouver woman and her son returned to the Lac Walams First Nation, where they reconnected with the land and the sea and traditional foods. As Wamish Hamilton of our Urban Nations unit shows us, it is all about family.
For 50 weeks of the year, Vancouver's Lynn Doolin puts on a suit, commutes to her job at the Justice Institute, and shops at grocery stores. But in July, Doolin and her son Curtis took the 17-hour trip home to the Lac Walams First Nation in northern BC, where life is very different.
Happy to be home in my parents' house again. Emotional, because I haven't been home in a while.
We left, and I went to sleep for 4 hours, didn't wake until Williams Lake, and I think I fell asleep again. I slept most of the way.
Dad.
With her cell phone rolling, Lynn captured the moment when she arrived in town.
Welcome home. You're home.
Waiting for her were her brother and her parents. From that point on,
Out of shape for this city slicker now.
it was gumboots and hip waders, speedboats and fishing nets.
Really fun to drive, but hard on the steering wheel. I had to go like this a little bit to keep it straight.
Oh, very proud. Very proud. He'll be the one taking me around soon to continue this every time we go home.
Lynn and her son caught fish, picked abalone, and helped with halibut.
Woohoo.
They smoked and jarred their catch, which will set them up for the entire year. The food is great, but that's not why Lynn returns home. She does it to reconnect with her aging parents.
We sat at the table and my mom made breakfast and we just talked and for 5 hours. It was much needed time with my mom.
It's very helpful for the future when my papa's not here. And my dad.
He loves going to Lac Walams every summer and spend quality time and helps my parents, whatever they need, and it's passing our tradition on to him. He's our future. They went to see me off and they waited till the ferry left, and yeah, it was hard when I couldn't see the car anymore. I just sat back in my car and took a moment. I wish they could live with me forever. I wish I could take them down here and live with me.
Lynn Doolin left her home First Nation of Lac Walams for Vancouver for better educational and work opportunities. But in her heart, Lac Walams always calls her home to preserve foods and a way of life that has sustained her ancestors for a millennia. Wamish Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now, if you think Mexican food is just tacos and burritos, prepare to expand your mind. A familiar chef is hoping to educate and satisfy Vancouverites at a new restaurant named after his mother. Francisco Higareda is the executive chef and partner at Ophelia restaurant. Hello there.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm doing really well. So what about the mother's inspiration here? Why did you name the restaurant after her?
Well, at the beginning, I was talking with my partners, and we was choosing about, I don't know, 10 names or something like that. And when we was talking with the graphic designer, he started to ask me about the name of my grandmother, my mom's name. And when everybody hears Ophelia as a name, we clicked, you know, and it was so cool. And my mom is such a great cook. And well, all my family, my dad is also super a great cook, and I have all this love about passion about food from them. So it was a good thing to do.
And when we say Mexican here in Vancouver, I mean, a lot of Canadians think of Mexican food as, is actually Tex-Mex. So what do you look for in the Mexican food that you know and love?
I'm more like a traditional cook, like a Mexican cook, and I think moles, it can be one of the best sauces I ever tried for me. It's a complex sauce, but it's pretty cool.
Well, it's complex, and I think a lot of people are surprised there are so many different varieties of mole as well. So why don't you take us through the one you're going to prepare for us today?
So I have bell peppers, I have a little bit of habanero, and I have these banana peppers, or we call it chile Caribbean in Mexico. So I have honey, cinnamon, cloves, I have cumin in here, I have thyme, oregano, bay leaves, garlic, onion, almonds, white chocolate or chocolate blanco, sesame seeds, some white raisins, plantain, and that's it for the mole. So I'm going to put some oil straight in the pot, and I will start with onion and garlics. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit rough, the chop. I'm gonna put first the onions and garlics. When they become soft, I'm gonna jump right away with the chilies, okay? I'm not burning these chilies, I'm not doing anything with them, just cut them, and I keep the seeds because I want the spiciness of the habanero pepper in here. So I'm gonna add the chilies. The next I'm gonna take is almonds, sesame seeds. Next thing I'm gonna take is plantain and white raisins, all the spices and the herbs. First, spices. And I have the white chocolate and the honey. They will be at the end.
So when you're talking white chocolate and honey, that would just add more texture than flavor?
No, that one is a lot of flavor. They give me the sweetness in the dish, you know. This mole is always spicy, sweet, a little bit like it has this like a sour flavor, and all the moles are pretty much like that, you know, sweet, sour, spicy. Pretty much all the Mexican flavors that we use, and this is a complex sauce. It's not easy, but and yeah, it helps with the texture. It makes it a little bit more thick. I have in here a couple of chips. I'm going to just crunch it and add it on. My next step is gonna be I'm gonna add a little bit of vegetable stock. And I'm gonna let it cook for 20 minutes until it's soft. The last step, I'm gonna blend this. I return to the stove the sauce. I add the chocolate and the honey, and that will be it for the sauce.
That looks amazing. Francisco,
Yeah,
my mouth is watering already. Why don't you show us how you would plate a dish like that?
So I have the sauce ready here. This is the mole blanco. It's just a creamy cilantro risotto, kind of. We call it cream rice in Mexico. We always have something like that. I'm gonna put it on the middle. A few zucchinis with a little bit of olive oil. The next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place the octopus, which is cooked. I put a corn rub, and after that I deep fry the octopus. Place it on top in here.
Isn't that gorgeous? That is gorgeous. And I like your sous vide technique for pre-cooking the octopus because you don't want a tough octopus.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's so super chewy, you know. I'm gonna put a little bit of my dad's recipe. This is chorizo. We make it from scratch here at the restaurant, and in the south of Mexico we have something we call it recaudos. It's like a kind of like a dry curry or something like that. This is a black one. It's made with it's made with burnt chilies, so and a bunch of spices. I just put a little bit on the top.
The finishing touch. Francisco,
The finishing touch,
that looks absolutely gorgeous. The mole blanco, the white mole from Ophelia in Vancouver, and that time served with octopus. Thank you so, so much. Que aproveche.
You're welcome, guys, and enjoy it. Provecho.
You're watching Our Vancouver.
I love it, Freddie.
Happy birthday to you. Congrats, Freddie. And smile.
A lot of big events have been canceled or gone online since the pandemic hit. The Future of Film Showcase usually runs one day in Toronto, but this year, all 6 short films are going to be free to stream on CBC Gem from Friday, August 21st to Friday, September 4th. And one of them is called Daddy Freddy by Vancouver stop-motion filmmaker Alicia Eisen. Here is the description. After a life well lived, Freddy is granted a chilling encore. He must live his life backwards through the eyes of every bug he has ever killed. Are you intrigued? Well, for more information, go to FOFS.ca. That's FOFS, as in Future of Film Showcase.ca. The Vancouver Mural Festival has always been about open spaces, so they've just had to cancel their massive street party in favor of smaller pop-up patio events. They're also more spread out, bringing more than 60 murals into 9 neighborhoods. Their new app is going to be free to download Tuesday, August 18th. For more information, go to vanmuralfest.ca.
Hey, I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music, coming to you from home with a great new song and story from an 8-piece funk explosion, originally from Montreal, called Busty and the Bass. We first discovered this band, you might remember this, when they were a contestant in our 2014 contest, Rock Your Campus.
And I can't stand it. Well, this ain't something we can hear. Well, I can't take it. But you got to know, there's no way that we make it.
Representing McGill University in Montreal, that is Busty and the Bass, and they went on to win Rock Your Campus, beating out hundreds of other university bands from across the country. And they also went on to tour all over the world and play all sorts of huge festivals, including our very own.
Toronto, thank you so much. We got 2 songs left. Big thanks again to the CBC for supporting Canadian content like this. This is absolutely wild. And all the other artists today, big shout outs. It's a privilege to be on the same stage as all these people. Absolutely wild. Thank you. This song's called The Real.
Never thought though you haven't felt before. Never touched a storm or felt a wind so strong. Never knew, never felt, never had something. And all the stories say something, something more. Ooh, than I ever knew. Something real.
Wow. Remember when we could do things like that? That's Busty and the Bass performing at the 2018 CBC Music Festival. Now, back in 2016, Busty and the Bass received international recognition for this cover of I Try by modern soul legend Macy Gray.
I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not here. I may appear to be free.
Now, that cover was so well received that Macy Gray herself enthusiastically retweeted the song, and the band and the star have maintained a kind of social media friendship ever since. So cut ahead to the making of Busty and the Bass's new single. They were looking for a guest vocalist to really knock it out of the park, and they thought, hey, what about Macy Gray? They asked, and wouldn't you know it, the soul titan said yes.
I'm not worried about it. If you're up, then put me down. I ain't asking for much here, just put me down. I'm not worried about it. If you're up, then put me down. I ain't asking for much here, just put me down. I know you wanna think you're the nice one, but I won't stay on the shelf till the next one. I know you wanna think you're the nice.
Yes, that is the sweet, soulful sounds of Busty and the Bass with special guest star Macy Gray on vocals on that summer 2020 single, Out of Love, reminding us of that old phrase, ask and you shall receive. Out of Love is the song that you need to add to your summer staycation playlist for this week, because 8-piece bands like Busty and the Bass need your support now more than ever before. So please do your part in keeping Canadian music alive. I'm Grant Lawrence. Stay safe, keep it funky, and I'll check in with you again next week.
Coming up, let's keep the music flowing with a wistful look back at one of last year's great CBC summer concerts by Vancouver band The Harpoonist and the Axe Murderer. Hi, welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, when Tegan and Sarah released their single, I'll Be Back Someday, last year, it sounded like an instant classic ripped from the 90s. Well, after Tracy Young gave an electronic dance remix, Vancouver's own Kim Mortal was called on to animate the video. Just check it out.
Sit and watch my TV set. What is on will make it better. We'll make it better. I wanna call and ask what's up. Go to dial, but then I stop. Why don't you call? To the end, my friend. Oh, what a lie. Oh, what a lie. If I could pretend, if I could lie, if I could lie, but I can't say. No, I can't stay. I run, 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 run away. Get
Now, normally, this would be the time of year when CBC Vancouver would be hosting a series of live concerts called Musical Nooners. Well, we can't do that now, but CBC Vancouver has posted 3 songs from that series on its YouTube channel. Here is the harpoonist and the axe murderer, a.k.a. Sean Hall and Matthew Rogers, joined by Don Robertson, performing Don't Make 'Em Like They Used To in the summer of 2019.
Can't be true. That just don't make them like they used to. Had a friend, he didn't last. Hardly left forces not in my bag. Oh well, that just don't make them like they used to. See, I remember the days where moving slow, yeah, everything was new. I remember the days, where did they go? I guess those days they don't make them like they used to. Now welding steel for automobiles, machines could build what 10 men couldn't do. Oh well, they just don't make them like they used to. Where did the land plane go? Up above on 6 feet below. Oh well, they just don't make them like they used to. See, I remember the days we're moving slow. Everything was new. I remember the days. Where did they go? I guess those days are through. They don't make them like they used to. They don't make them like they used to. They don't make them like they used to. Oh, brother, what's it all coming to? Ain't nobody like to sing the blues. Oh, well, they just don't make them like they used to. They got body, but they got no soul. They got the tracks moving side to go. They just don't make them like they used to. See, I remember the days when moving
Coming up, BC psychologist Dr. Carlton Duff answers kids' questions about mental health, all in the new virtual reality studio created for CBC Kids News. Hi, welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, CBC Kids News asked Canadian children to share their questions about mental health. And BC psychologist Dr. Carlton Duff with the Canadian Mental Health Association was on hand to answer those questions. So here's contributor Elijah Sandiford in their new virtual studio.
It's Elijah Sandiford for CBC Kids News. What's the matter? I look a little different? Well, that's because I'm in my new VR avatar, and we're filming in our Kids News virtual studio. I'm actually at home right now in my VR headset. Today I'm taking these questions to psychologist Dr. Duff. He has his VR headset on right now in British Columbia. So Dr. Duff, the pandemic has been around for a while now, and life as we know it has changed a lot. Has the pandemic been hard on kids?
For a lot of kids, this has been really stressful. It's been really tough, especially kids who already have mental health challenges.
What kind of things can kids do to help with their mental health?
Probably the biggest thing that kids can do is to make sure to talk to people that they like talking to and like being around. The second biggest thing is to make sure that they're always staying active, doing stuff.
Speaking of kids, we have our first question on the screen here, so let's take a look.
Mental health is something that is being talked about more and more openly with the younger generation, but with older people it's still a topic that they might not be very comfortable sharing about. So I was wondering how as a child we can help out or talk to an older family member that we see is struggling with their mental health. For example, we see signs of depression or signs of anxiety, so I'm just wondering how we can reach out and help them.
Yeah, you know, Elijah, that's a really good question, especially when it seems like people don't really understand what they're going through. It's true, a lot of us are actually a lot more open nowadays in talking about it and accepting mental health as something that's important, something that's real. The biggest thing that we can do to talk to other people, and especially people in our life, is to try our best to empathize with how they're feeling. Empathy is when we show someone that we're actually feeling the same kinds of things that they feel. And so we just try our best to be curious and understand exactly what they're going through.
Let's take a look at the screen at our next question submitted by a Canadian kid.
My name is Selena Goa, and my question is, how can I explain the concept of depression and poor mental health to disbelieving family members or friends? Thank you.
You know, Elijah, that's a good question from Selena. The thing about mental illness, what makes it so tricky and so yucky, is that you can't actually see the things that are happening, and it kind of hijacks the way that we think. Sometimes we can explain that to other people who don't really understand mental illness as a way to show that even though we can't see it on the outside, it's something going on inside our bodies.
Right, I can see what you mean. Well, thanks a lot, Dr. Duff, for taking the time out of your day to come and answer some kids' questions.
No problem, Elijah, anytime.
I'm Elijah Sandiford for CBC Kids News. Peace!
All right, time to rewind the clock with the help of our CBC archives. Local housing prices have been out of reach for many Vancouverites for a long time. That wasn't always the case, though. 38 years ago, things were a lot more affordable. Here's Georges Tremel with that story.
John McLaughlin moved back to Vancouver last fall. He paid $235,000 for this three-bedroom house. Today, it is worth $60,000 less, and its value might still be going down.
I like the house. The area is one that I always wanted to live in, and I could afford it at the time, albeit marginally. And as long as the economy doesn't play any, doesn't complete havoc with either my income or my wife's income, we will be able to continue to afford it.
The loss of an income can be disastrous. Selling the house can be impossible. If it has lost so much value, it is worth less than the mortgage on it. Real estate agents won't list it, and nobody will buy. The boom peaked with last year's high interest rates. Demand dropped off. Prices began to fall, especially the price of land. A building lot now sells for half of what it sold last year. Lower prices mean young couples looking for their first home are now buying again. This 3-bedroom house in Port Coquitlam would have cost $150,000 a year ago. The butchers paid $93,000.
It really scared us to all of a sudden be this much in debt, but we're happy we did.
And we had it all worked out so that although we both are working, that we could manage on one salary, making the payments.
Mm-hmm. Has it proven to be that way so far?
Well, how many payments have we made? We've made 2 payments, so.
So far, not too bad.
The Vancouver market is now slowly getting back to normal. That's fine for the families who bought before the boom or are buying now. The families who bought at the peak can only wonder if and when they will recoup their losses. Georges Tremel, CBC News, Vancouver.
CBC Vancouver is so lucky to have an award-winning photographer on staff. Ben Nelms captures all sorts of images of life in our city, and here are some of his best of the week. And that's all for Our Vancouver for this week. I hope you'll join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. Goodbye for now.